What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Arman recently shared his reaction to Islam Makhachev's dominant win at UFC 322. While talking with MMA Fighting's Mike Heck, Arman broke down exactly what he saw in the performance and why it left such a strong impression on him. He didn't hold back in praising Islam for what he was able to do inside the cage. Arman explained that he expected Islam to look good, but he didn't expect the fight to be that one-sided. He said he was genuinely shocked at how easily Islam beat JDM, especially considering how dangerous and technical JDM usually is in his matchups. According to Arman, the way Islam controlled the fight, dictated the pace, and shut down every opportunity showed just how high his skill level truly is. He went on to say that Islam is operating on a completely different level right now. Arman described him as being in his absolute prime, both physically and mentally, and said that it's becoming harder and harder to imagine who can actually stop him. The timing, the pressure, the accuracy, and the composure that Islam displayed at UFC 322 all stood out to Arman as signs of a champion who keeps evolving. Arman also mentioned that performances like this are what motivate top contenders to push themselves even harder. Seeing Islam dominate in that way only fuels the fire for fighters like Arman, who are chasing that same level of excellence and aiming for their own championship opportunity. For now, Arman said Islam's win was not just impressive, but a statement to the entire division, with the lightweight landscape constantly shifting, and with contenders like Arman continuing to rise, the victory added even more intrigue to what could be coming next for the championship picture. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Islam Makhachev continues to receive major praise following his dominant win at UFC 322, and this time it came from two well-known figures in the MMA world. Rampage Jackson, during an episode of his podcast, shared his thoughts after watching Islam compete for the very first time. Rampage admitted he was shocked at how well Islam was able to strike against JDM, especially given how much he had heard about JDM's elite boxing. He said people had even told him that JDM's boxing was better than Ilya's, so he wasn't expecting Islam's striking to look as sharp as it did. Rampage explained that he was extremely impressed with how clean and effective Islam looked on the feet. He thought Islam would lean heavier on his wrestling, taking JDM down repeatedly, wearing him out on the ground, and then using that threat to open up striking opportunities. He said doing that could make Islam an even bigger star because opponents would constantly worry about the takedown. But even without that approach, Rampage felt Islam showed a complete game by picking JDM apart on the feet whenever he wanted. Since this was Rampage's first time ever watching Islam fight, he said the performance completely surprised him in the best way. On the same podcast, TJ Dillashaw was a guest, and he also had nothing but praise for Islam's performance. TJ said Islam made the fight look unbelievably easy, much easier than he expected. He explained that whenever there's a classic grappler versus striker matchup, he usually leans toward the grappler, especially when that grappler is as dominant as Islam. Still, he believed JDM would cause more problems, scramble back to his feet more often, and show more danger in the striking exchanges. Instead, TJ was stunned at how quickly Islam shut all of that down. He praised Islam for controlling every moment of the fight and proving once again why he's one of the most dominant fighters in the sport today. Moving on to another news, Khamzat does not seem interested in fighting Islam Makhachev despite the growing conversation around a potential super fight. After Islam's dominant win this past Saturday over JDM, fans immediately began talking about the possibility of Islam moving up to middleweight. With his current momentum, many believe he could try to chase triple champ status, but the middleweight champion, Khamzat, doesn't appear eager to entertain that idea right now. He posted a message on Instagram that caught everyone's attention. It read, "The wolf and the eagle are not always close, but when you need to protect the mountains, they will always protect them together." For newer fans, the meaning behind that might not be obvious. The eagle is referring to Khabib and his team, while the wolf represents Khamzat himself. By posting that message, Khamzat seemed to suggest unity rather than rivalry, implying he isn't looking to fight Islam. Instead, he wants to maintain the strength and dominance of their region by supporting one another rather than competing against each other. Khamzat's message also echoed what other fighters from the region have done before. He hinted that he wants to follow the path of fighters like Kamaru Usman and Francis Ngannou, who reached the top of their divisions and held strong as champions while representing their continent with pride. Rather than chasing headlines through internal matchups, Khamzat appears focused on dominating his own weight class and building a legacy of his own. With Islam looking unstoppable at lightweight and Khamzat reigning as middleweight champion, the idea of a clash between the two had fans excited, but based on Khamzat's message. His priority right now is solidarity, not a super fight. Whether that changes in the future remains to be seen, but for now, Khamzat is standing firm on keeping the wolf and the eagle united. Moving on to another news, Dan Hooker made it clear he is not concerned at all about Arman potentially pulling out of their fight this weekend. Speaking with Submission Radio, he explained that people have this strange idea that opponents are always withdrawing on him, when in reality, it has never happened. He said that for some reason, fans assume he constantly deals with cancellations, but he has actually never had someone pull out on him in his entire career. Hooker joked that it must be something about his face. He said he is always smiling, always having a laugh, and maybe that makes him look extra punchable, which is why every opponent follows through. According to him, no matter how tough the matchup is, nobody ever ends up withdrawing. He contrasted this with some of the fighters he has trained with over the years, who have dealt with opponents pulling out well into double digits. He went on to say that he appreciates the chaos of the fight game, and that uncertainty is just part of what makes combat sports exciting. Still, he believes Arman will show up because every opponent he has ever prepared for has stepped into the cage. Hooker seemed relaxed and confident, treating the situation with the same humor and calmness he is known for at the gym and in interviews. Hooker also mentioned that fighters today often face circumstances out of their control, whether it's injuries, weight issues, or unexpected problems outside the cage. However, he emphasized again that he has somehow never been on the receiving end of that. For him, fight week pressure is nothing new, and he is fully locked in and ready for whatever happens next. Moving on to another news, Dana White was involved in a physical altercation with Francis Ngannou, and if you keep up with MMA, you already know their relationship has never been smooth. Dana has openly admitted he doesn't like Francis, but we never really got a full explanation beyond the usual talk about bad business. Now, a shocking story has surfaced, straight from Dana himself, revealing what he claims really happened behind closed doors. During an appearance on Andrew Schultz's Flagrant podcast, Dana didn't hold back at all. He went off on Francis, calling him a bad guy and insisting the public doesn't truly understand who he is behind the scene. According to Dana, Francis pretends not to understand English to create this image of a calm, humble guy, but Dana says that's far from the truth. He claims Francis speaks and understands English perfectly and uses the language barrier excuse only when convenient. Then Dana revealed a moment that shocked everyone listening. He described a situation that happened right before Francis was set to fight Stipe Miocic in Boston. Dana said Francis was extremely confident, even convinced he was going to run through Stipe. After the press conference, they were all walking down a hallway when Francis suddenly walked up to Dana, grabbed him, and told him, "Let me tell you what's going to happen." Dana emphasized that Francis's English was perfect in that moment. No hesitation, no confusion. Francis told him, "When this fight's over, you're going to book me a private plane to Paris." Dana says he laughed it off, but Francis stared back at him and insisted he wasn't joking. But then the fight happened, and instead of dominating, Francis ended up getting handled by Stipe. Dana says that loss ended the entire private plane conversation immediately. He even admits he should have cut Francis that very same day. A little later, Francis came up to Dana's office after another fight, angry that he didn't receive a $50,000 bonus. Dana explained why he didn't get it and tried to move on, but according to him, Francis wasn't having it. Dana says he tried to leave the office, but Francis grabbed him by his shirt and pushed him back inside. Dana told him, "Dude, get your hands off me," and said he could see in Francis's eyes exactly who he really was. Dana also revealed that during another heated discussion, when Hunter Campbell tried to walk away, Francis grabbed him by the back of his collar and pulled him back, saying, "We're not done talking yet." Dana claims these moments showed him a completely different side of Francis, one the public hasn't seen. With accusations this explosive, everyone expects Francis to respond soon, and when he does, the MMA world will be watching closely. Moving on to another news, Arman has sent a clear warning to Dan Hooker and Ilya as he gears up for his fight this week at UFC Qatar. Arman has been appearing in more interviews lately to help build the hype, and during a recent conversation with Shaq MMA, he made it very clear that certain lines should never be crossed. Arman explained that while he understands the nature of fight promotion and the business side of trash talk, there are limits. He said Dan has never spoken personally about him, and if something ever did get personal, Arman would handle it directly and privately. He made it clear that the same applies to Ilya. For Arman, the fight game is business, pure and simple, but disrespect towards family or deeply personal matters is something he won't tolerate. He added that fighters can talk about competitors being spoiled or arrogant, and he understands that kind kind of typical trash talk, but once it goes beyond that, the situation changes. Arman emphasized that if anyone crosses that line, they would have to deal with him face to face, not through microphones and cameras. As the fight approaches, anticipation has been building, especially after Arman and his opponent came face to face in Qatar during their promotional face-off. The two stood firm, staring each other down as cameras clicked and reporters watched closely. It was a tense moment, capturing the intensity heading into this matchup. Arman looked calm and locked in, giving off the energy of someone who knows exactly what he wants to do once the cage door closes. The officials guided them through the stare down, giving cues like, "Tell me when you're good," and "Okay," facing forward, before wrapping the moment. With his warnings to Dan and Ilya now public, and with the fight only days away, Arman is making it clear he's focused, ready, and not letting anyone cross boundaries as he prepares for a massive showdown. Moving on to another news, Francis Ngannou has finally broken his silence regarding the ongoing situation with Dana White, and his version of events is very different from what has been circulating. According to Francis, the real issues between him and the UFC began long before his second fight with Stipe. He explained that the tension started before their first fight, when the UFC delayed his contract negotiations for months. That delay left him sitting on the sidelines with no income and no clarity about his future. Francis said the situation became so difficult that he reached a point where he could not even properly fund his training camp. That was when he personally called Dana White to ask for an advance on his fight purse so he could pay for his preparation. He insists that this phone conversation was the only direct confrontation he ever had with Dana, a far cry from the dramatic altercation being described online. On the alleged incident in Dana's office, Francis said the real tension came from UFC contract delays, not any physical confrontation. He explained that the long, slow negotiations strained the relationship heavily and created frustration on both sides. Francis said the story being spread paints an exaggerated version of events, and that the reality was simply mounting frustration due to stalled progress. Fans on social media are split. Some believe Francis because the timeline he shared aligns with the long-standing contract drama he had with the UFC. Others remain skeptical, pointing to past reports of Francis being difficult to work with or clashing with UFC executives. Still, Francis insists his side of the story has been misunderstood for years. He went into further detail, saying that after his first fight with Stipe, everything changed between him and the UFC. He felt like he had been placed in an unfavorable position and left in uncertainty even while training non-stop. He recalled having no money while preparing for nearly a year. He said he lives based on his actual means, not the image or title people project onto him. Francis said he returned, won multiple fights, and then the UFC presented a new deal after his win over Junior Dos Santos in 2019. However, when his team was already preparing for negotiations, the UFC suddenly told them there would be no new deal and that Francis still had 3 fights remaining on his current contract. He admitted that a part of him was relieved because he wanted the chance to fulfill the deal and fight his way through it. According to Francis, everything that followed stemmed from these early tensions, not from any heated altercation behind closed doors. Moving on to another news, Valentina Shevchenko has responded to the wave of backlash she's been receiving since her victory over Zhang Li at UFC 322. While many fans and fighters praised the event as a whole, especially because all 3 opening main card bouts ended in knockouts, the momentum slowed during the co-main and main events, both of which went to decisions. Some viewers felt the energy dip, and Valentina found herself at the center of criticism for a performance that some fans labeled too technical and not exciting enough. But Valentina made it clear that she isn't bothered by any of it. She said she simply can't please everyone, and that's something she has long accepted. During an interview, she was asked whether she feels her mastery of martial arts is appreciated by fans, especially when so many people tune in expecting blood, chaos, and all-out wars. Valentina explained that appreciation depends entirely on perspective. She said even the greatest strikers in the world face criticism, no matter how skilled they are, because fans are divided. Some will admire precision, technique, and control, while others just want raw violence. According to her, it doesn't matter who you are, there will always be 2 sides, the ones who support you and the ones who don't. She added that in every sport, and not just MMA, you have to choose what you stand for. You have to commit to being yourself, performing in the way you believe is right, and staying true to your style. She said you can't get upset with people who have different opinions, who lack experience, or who simply don't understand the depth of martial arts. To her, there's no point in getting mad, because over time, many of those same people will eventually learn, grow, and develop a deeper appreciation for what real skill looks like. Valentina acknowledged that not everyone will understand the nuances of her approach. Some fans might not notice the timing, the setups, the risk management, management or the defensive layers behind her decisions, but she believes that martial arts is something people grow into, and that with time, more viewers will understand what they're watching. Still, she said the important thing is that she received far more positive reactions than negative ones, and that's what truly matters to her.